Well, no, they don't need to know that if you take the vaccine, that means, all caps, you do not have faith in the Most High simple.
What the fuck's the Most High simple?
I think there should
Are they
be
saying
a comma.
Mm.
Yeah. Punctuation matters.
Well, big news. Allison, for maybe the first time ever, listened to our podcast last week.
Yeah, that's right. I listened to it.
You like to treat it as something ephemeral that happens in the moment and then ceases to exist in the world.
Yeah, it's an activity we do together.
It is. I mean, that is primarily my enjoyment of it also. But yeah, you listened to it for no particular reason or because it was all about our dead cat.
That's why. The latter.
The reason that I brought this up is because Allison took notes on the episode, and foremost among her notes was to clarify on this episode that she absolutely does not guarantee that she will not continue talking about her dead cat.
Absolutely not. This might be mostly a dead cat podcast now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What a trick. I mean, I think the idea of this podcast evolving gradually, almost imperceptibly, slowly into a different podcast altogether, maybe one about dead pets.
Well, there's precedent for it. There's actually this blog. You and I listened to an episode of Death, Sex, and Money where the woman was interviewed, that Australian woman who died of colon cancer.
Yeah.
And her blog, she had started for like, I don't know, one of those bloganuary or something. It was like everybody post on your blog for a month. And so she started a gardening blog. But then like a couple months later, she was diagnosed with cancer and then like blogged her experience of being diagnosed with and going through treatment and eventually dying of cancer. But of course, the title of the blog never changed. And like the first dozen posts are all about like tomato seedlings or whatever.
Yeah. You know, I might not have brought this up at all were it not for the fact that there is a seed tie-in to Lucy's recent passing.
Yeah. So we went to pick up her ashes, and included among the packets of literature about grieving for your pet or whatever was also a packet of seeds.
The idea being that you will be comforted by something being born at the moment that something you love died.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really make sense because there's no connection between these seeds and
Lucy, right? Yeah.
Or anyone's cat or dog, right? It doesn't really make sense.
Describe this packet, though. Maybe I'll post a picture of it.
Yeah, so there's a cartoon, I guess, silhouette of a dog and a cat. And it says, "In remembrance of your beloved pet." And on the back it says, "We offer our warmest condolences as you cherish and remember your beloved friend." And then it says annual/perennial mix. And it says what's in it.
What's in it?
Crimson clover, annual baby's breath, scarlet flax, cornflower, calendula, blanket flower, blue flax, lance-leaved coreopsis, purple coneflower, Shasta daisy, corn poppy, rocket larkspur, bishop's flower.
Is rocket larkspur an arugula?
No, it's definitely a larkspur. Bishop's flower, snapdragon, catchfly, and plains coreopsis. What do you think the germination rate would be if we...
I don't know. Let's throw them in the ground, though, and see what happens.
I think we should maybe do an experiment on the germination rate of these seeds.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I bet it's abysmal.
Yeah.
Because these have been sitting in some warehouse
10 years
forever.
Old, right? Yeah. Could at least throw some catnip in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like cat or dog related in any way.
And you were telling me before we started recording that there is some discourse about seed mixtures like that.
Well, so often a company will have like one thing that's called pollinator mix or beneficial insect mix or something like that, with the idea that you'll buy this seed and you'll like scatter handfuls of it and grow a meadow that will attract bees and butterflies and whatnot to your yard.
Sure.
But I guess, ecologists have warned people that this isn't necessarily the greatest idea because you might be introducing invasives. You're certainly introducing things that don't belong wherever you are. And that at the very least,
these aren't regionally selected.
Yeah, you need some kind of a regional specific mix if you're going to do something like that.
Yeah. This will require some strategic bleeping, but you did have a conversation with a person for reasons that we'll either not mention or bleep that turned out to be a exorcist / psychic who gave you some guidance on baby's breath, which is included in Lucy's death seed mixture.
Yeah, that's true. I had a phone conversation with someone who I was not calling to get psychic guidance or anything like that.
But it turned out that independently of the topic of that conversation, they were also a psychic / exorcist.
Yeah, in the middle of this conversation, she's like, she decides to try to give me a psychic cold reading.
For free.
Yeah, I should have encouraged it, but I was uncomfortable and didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But she started trying to give me a psychic reading about whatever, my dead relatives who were around me or something.
Yeah.
And she told me that one of my deceased loved ones wanted me to have a lot of baby's breath flowers in my life.
Shit, man. What if we did a germination test on this seed mixture and the only thing that germinated was baby's breath? Would you believe in
psychics?
The metaphysical wonders at that point?
Why would it be so dumb? Why wouldn't it be like cool? There's life after death and the dead can influence our material plane.
Only so far as
but only
to
in really
recommend
ambiguous, dumb ways. Like, what's that?
We get some particular type of ground cover.
So anyway, this was before Lucy died, though. And she was like really trying to fish, hoping that I would say, oh, yes, my grandmother
loved baby's breath.
Who loves baby's breath? It's a filler.
Yeah, it's fucking
It's not
boring
a main
shit.
flower. No one grows it. It comes in your floral arrangements.
Correct.
It was a really weird cold reading choice, actually. If she'd picked like daisies or sunflowers or roses, something really popular, tulips, for sure, that would have been more likely to get a hit with more people in the population. But she made a really odd choice there. But maybe she was psychically traveling to the future when Lucy would be dead, and Lucy was time traveling to the past to interface with this psychic.
Holy shit.
Even though Lucy was still alive then, she was also present as a future ghost.
Right.
And was telling the
Don't
psychic.
worry too much about the logic of this, dear listener.
I want to be clear that I think if the psychic knew that baby's breath was in this our condolences seed mix,
she'd be
she
like,
would
yeah,
take that
was a
as a
fucking
win.
hit. Yeah.
She would call that a hit
Strong
in
hit.
retrospect. So I don't know. Good news for her. This is like 6 months later also. Lucy's ghost traveled 6 months in the past.
Wow.
Not to say, don't take me to the vet. Don't let them sedate me.
But to say, I'd like some baby's breath 6 months from now.
Yeah, after I'm dead, plant some flowers.
Well, we'll see we'll plant them and see what happens. Maybe Lucy will haunt our garden.
I'd love to be haunted by Lucy.
Me too.
You're Roman.
You're Allison. In this podcast, I've been informed by a psychic authority is known as seedy business.
It's seedy business. It's seedy business.
Here's some other of Allison's notes that came out of her listening to our podcast for the first time. Note number 1, herbs for rashes. Note number 2, hubris and nemesis. I don't know if you recall why you took these notes.
Not exactly, no.
Wow, you should listen to our podcast more often.
But I mean, any podcast could be improved by considering hubris and nemesis more.
What podcast do you think is our podcast's nemesis?
Doughboys.
Well, they're biters off us. Didn't someone else bite off us recently?
Oh my God. That's something we need to talk about. My favorite murder just stole our bit. They ordered the turkey dinner, the Thanksgiving dinner flavored candy corn, and they tasted it on the air and described it and commented on it.
Yeah. Wow. Biters.
We did that.
We did that 1 year
ago.
1 year ago. Yeah. And we still have the Thanksgiving candy corn in the house to this day, uneaten.
The candy corn for this year, the flavors are slightly different. They've got one that's coffee, which sounds actually edible.
In the Thanksgiving mix?
Yeah.
Why?
I guess the idea is like an after dinner coffee. And also because they needed to add more flavors that were actually
maybe
palatable.
They needed to remove some flavors that were not palatable, and
almost none of them were good. I mean, notably gravy.
Everyone agrees that the cranberry was good.
The cranberry was good.
Because that's a normal flavor.
Because that's a candy flavor.
Yeah.
The green bean was off-putting.
I don't remember. We'd have to go back and listen to that episode probably.
Yeah. But anyway, they've got some new flavors in the mix. And my favorite murder just 100%, I'm sure intentionally, stole our bit, our intellectual property.
We need to do more to protect our IP.
Apparently.
Do we need to write our ideas on a piece of paper and seal it in a time-stamped envelope?
Well, so apparently, my friends and I were talking about this last night. Nevada does not levy taxes on royalty income. So what you want to do if you want to really run a scam, so you want to hold all your IP in a corporation in Nevada if you can.
I see.
But the real scam, and I guess a bunch of companies do this, they have a portion of their business that's in Nevada whose only job is to hold their IP, including their logo and stuff.
Okay.
And then every other branch of the business pays them handsomely for the privilege of using that IP. And so, and they're able to write that off as a business expense.
Right.
And then the other end of the company takes it in as untaxed income.
Damn.
There's so many fucking scams going on all the time.
But all the scams require that you already have money and power to run them.
That's right.
Well,
I have an accountant and a lawyer among my group of friends that I've been hanging out with. So these are the kinds of horrifying realities that I learn about when I hang out with them.
These are still Zoom hangouts to this day.
Yep. Well, also we live in different parts of the country, so they would have to be anyway.
Okay, well, it is Sunday afternoon. I'm back to attending in-person church. Oh, they said we don't have to wear masks anymore today.
What the fuck? Come on, man.
That fucking place. None of them listen to this.
The thing is, I really badly do not want there to be an outbreak at your church. Not because I'm particularly worried about you being infected.
Well, it's full of very old people, so.
But because of how absolutely traumatic it would be for you. I don't care about any of them. I've never met them.
Sure.
Whatever. If they want to take their lives in their hands as elderly, frail people in Florida, I guess more power to them. But
if by my having choir rehearsal with them, one of them gets sick and dies,
you're going to need therapy.
I'm not going to handle that well. I'll tell you that right now.
You said last week at church, someone pulled you aside and snidely accused you of being a coward for wanting them to wear masks or something.
This fucking frail 85-year-old lady pulled me aside and said that. Guess, there's that meme that's that guy shrugging and saying guess we'll die.
I don't understand how this far into it, these people still haven't considered, it might be upsetting for someone to feel that they had a hand, however indirectly, in the death of another person.
Yeah.
Let alone a person they know. I mean, that's horrible.
Yeah, this church
Nobody
doesn't.
wants
They
that.
don't give a shit about the community around them. That's been clear to me. In any case, we're back to recording on Sunday afternoons. It is a nice day. You know, most of the rest of the country is in full autumn mode at this point. It is still, you know, our overnight lows are still in the 70s here. It does not feel particularly different from the middle of the summer here. Maybe it's a few degrees cooler during the day, but it is largely unchanged. It has, of course, been raining a lot less at this time of the year. Allison, what's going on outside? I don't even, should I even say in the garden, or should I just say what's going on outside?
Then let us cultivate our garden. It's the only way to make life endurable.
What's in the garden?
Well, you know, that hibiscus is still just hanging on by a thread. We should go out and give it some water and care today.
Well, that's the one that when we last went out and it was near death, that was very upsetting to you.
Yes.
But the fact that it's hanging on is...
I think it might be revivable with a little more attention. I've been going out there more often.
Yeah, it was blooming beautifully and frequently throughout the summer.
Yeah, it was incredible. And it grew a lot in height over the summer. I think if it survives, it's ready to be transplanted into a bigger pot.
Yeah, that's what you want to put that in the front as a shade plant.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I think it only wants like 8 hours a day of sun. So it might actually be too sunny in front of our house for it.
Sure.
The kumquat tree continues to just be absolutely baffling. So we've got a bunch of not quite ping pong ball sized fruits that are turning yellow and apparently ripening.
Yeah, they're almost ripe. Some of them are almost ripe. I don't know what's that supposed to happen, December?
Or like January, February, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then we've got a bunch of tiny, I don't know, jelly bean, gumdrop, something like that sized dark green new fruits coming in. And then it's also flowering again for some reason.
Every time we fertilize it, it just flowers
again. Yeah.
I cannot believe the density of fruit on this tree.
But to be clear, the instructions say to feed it every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But every time we're definitely doing it less often than that. But every time we do, we get a new flush of blossoms.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, either this is going to somehow be a disaster or it's going to be an absolutely incredible success and a bounty that we can enjoy pretty much without limit.
If this goes well, I think we should get another citrus tree. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it seems like the only thing that is not dying in our current climate, which I guess we need to lean into what's available here.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of what's available here, we were at the farmer's market yesterday morning, and for the first time since we have lived here or been at this farmer's market, we saw a table for the St. Johns County Library Seed Bank.
Yeah, the public library has a seed library.
Yeah, as we talked about this phenomenon, but I guess it's finally made its way to our county.
Yeah, and so they had a table with a librarian staffing it who was taking enrollment forms for people who want to be members of the seed library. And then they also had a little card catalog with them that had selected seeds that the librarian said, we picked these because they're seasonal to plant right now.
Yeah.
But that at the main branch of the library, there's a whole huge collection of things.
Right. Yeah, we should check that out. So we did, I guess, check out. I mean, they say they use the verbiage to check out because the expectation, although, not a I think not a strong one or real one, is that you will collect seeds and bring some to them at some point. That is the hope, right?
Yeah.
But we did take 2 packets of seeds. Will you tell us about them?
Sure. Well, it's not like we don't have arugula seeds, but we did take a packet of arugula seeds.
Yeah. Well, that seemed appropriate. We also, of course, like it a lot. Tell us what information do they give us on the front of the packet?
Well, this one, it says arugula, Aruca sativa, Harvester, Southern Exposure Seed Exchange.
Mhm.
I love them.
Yeah, one of our favorites.
Harvest location unknown, year of harvest 2019, difficulty level medium, and then the contact information for the library.
Okay.
And
Medium difficulty, huh?
I mean, everything's medium
Everything's
to
medium.
hard here. There's nothing easy.
Uh-huh.
And it's in a cute little brown envelope. I'm opening it right now. And I would say there are 10 seeds.
Okay. It's a pittance, but it's a library.
Yeah. And I mean, 10 seeds would be a radically different thing for something that's not a salad green, right? That
yeah.
would be maybe a reasonable number of seeds for some things.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, it's sort of...
For salad greens, you want to throw as much in the ground as you can, basically.
Well, it's just like the waste of this cute envelope and label like doesn't really justify the distribution of 10 arugula seeds, but
Sure.
what are you going to do?
Yeah. And the other one?
And then the other one is Florida broadleaf mustard.
So maybe a regionally acclimated mustard seed.
And it says scientific name Brassica gensea, harvester, Florida Seed and Garden, harvest location, our town.
Okay. This should work.
Year of harvest 2021, difficulty level difficult.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It was sounding really good until then. Like, they're new seeds from this year. They're harvested in our area. Difficult, though.
Yeah, why? Why?
Pop that baby open.
This does seem like an incredible opportunity to maybe access some seeds that are locally adapted.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely check this out and report back.
I would say there are exactly 10 seeds.
Okay, so they put 10 seeds in every packet no matter what.
I mean, I don't know. We have an N of 2, but...
I'm willing to call it. They put 10 seeds in each packet. But yeah, we'll report back.
Yeah, we've got to make that one of our activities.
Mhm.
It's going to that library at some point.
Okay, well, today's catalog, we are recording this in October. It will be released, I think this is going to be our October 15th episode. So, right in the heart of spooky season, Halloween season. We chose this catalog because they are, a prominent grower of pumpkins. And that catalog is the New England Seed Company. It is stylized on the catalog as lowercase n, lowercase e, lowercase s, e-e-d. Neseed. It looks like neseed, neseed. I've seen it stylized even in their own copy as like uppercase n, lowercase e, uppercase s in seed, all one word. I've seen uppercase n, uppercase e, space seed. They're not particularly consistent. Yeah, they need better consistency in how they write this.
Their
I think.
word mark has not been standardized.
Yeah.
They're willing to do whatever.
Right. Honestly, I think the way that it looks on the catalog is their worst presentation of it.
I would say it is pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean,
their font choices, I'm looking at the cover of the catalog right now, and not to like start shitting on them out the gate, but I will say, not a good set of fonts.
They're right. I think, and we'll get to this in a couple minutes, but like their design, I think, is fine. But what's particularly bad, I think, is their font choices. But we'll come back to that in a minute. So their trademark on the front here is Good Seed, Glad Harvest, which is nice enough. The company was founded in 1987 by Ted Willard, who was a fourth-generation Connecticut seedsman whose family operated Comstock Ferret in Wethersfield, Connecticut, a seed company in Wethersfield, Connecticut, for more than a century before he broke off and founded this company. I've seen Wethersfield, Connecticut referred to as the cradle of seed companies in New England. I guess they had a large number of seed companies based there at one point, although, as with anything, that's thinned out over time. But they're now based in East Hartford, Connecticut, which is a very industrial area. It's not a fancy town. People who I grew up in Connecticut. I think when people think of Connecticut, they imagine either like Gilmore Girls style small New Englandy town, or they're imagining like Southwest Connecticut, like Greenwich, rich people areas, or like by the coast. East Hartford is sort of, it's a rust belty town. I think the factory that my father has worked third shift in for 43 years or whatever is based in East Hartford, or at least his branch of it is. But yeah, they sell, this is the quote I'm reading, they sell non-GMO, conventional, organic, heirloom, Italian, and hybrid vegetables. It's like, which one of those doesn't belong? There's a little bit of that like John Mulaney new in town. Like one of those seems like it doesn't belong. I don't know why Italian is listed alongside hybrid and organic and heirloom, but it is a heavily Italian area, certainly. When the company bought Carolina Seed in 2001, it moved from being just a wholesaler to also working in retail. In 2007, the company New England Seed and D. Palmer Seed merged and formed DP Seeds, which became the commercial grower wing of the business. On their website, they say, most DP seed varieties have no organic equivalent and are available as untreated seeds for many organic programs. I found that to be an interesting turn of phrase. And they also, in that copy, capitalize no organic equivalent. Each of those words is capitalized, which made me wonder if having no organic equivalent to a seed is like a meaningful designator that is used to say, like, if there is no organic equivalent, then ours essentially counts as.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not well versed in the rules of certified organic farming, but my guess would be that what it means is that, certified organic farms should grow their seeds from certified organic seed.
Right.
But if no equivalent certified organic seed exists, then maybe you can buy untreated seed that is not certified organic. But if the rest of your practices are organic,
and you might be able to use the organic designation when you sell the food ultimately or something like that.
That would be my guess, knowing nothing else about this.
Ted Willard, the founder, notes that grass seed used to be the majority of their revenue, but I guess during the housing crash of the late aughts, grass seed demand really plummeted along with new construction. So I guess that makes sense that grass seed would have suffered at that point. Now the bulk of their sales is vegetable seed. Like I mentioned, I did grow up near here. I looked at the places that sell this seed, and my hometown feed and supply company, the Feed and Supply Company, sells their seed. It's also worth noting that on their Facebook page, they have a post that somebody that had grown one of their black cat pumpkins won a first premium prize at the Durham Fair this year. The Durham Fair was my local, I guess it's not a state fair, it's a county fair.
County fair.
Yeah. But that was like where, every fall my friends and I would go to the Durham Fair and look at the prize vegetables and, get a cider donuts and walk around. And it was, I have very fond memories of the Durham Fair.
I mean, that sounds like some Gilmore Girls shit.
It does. Yeah. Durham, Connecticut is a little more Gilmore Girls-y. That's where my brother lives now. He lives in that town. Nate, that is. But yeah, I guess their excellent pumpkins have done well there. Should we read the description for the black cat pumpkin?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like a kabocha.
It's very cool looking. Like the stem is sort of the same color, like dark, smoky black as the pumpkin itself.
Yeah. So it's got a black skin and, of course, orange. Well, not of course, I suppose. Are there squashes that don't have yellow or orange flesh? Zucchini, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Anyway, it's got a black skin, light orange flesh, and tons of, I'm sure, quite edible seeds inside. Black Cat F1 Hybrid will start to turn orange after 2 months in storage. Best planted after June 22nd to hold black color through the end of November.
I mean, that's wild. That's the kind of thing that's like they're assuming that the people growing this are like
in their
the
same
in the
exact
towns
area.
around them, right? Best grown after June 22nd.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, that's very specific.
Also on their Facebook page are a number of shit posts about zucchini, which endeared me to them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Enormous positive right out the gate.
And I learned that August 8th, yearly, I guess, appears to be designated, quote, National Sneak Some Zucchini Onto Your Neighbor's Porch Day. Their posts are mostly about how to get rid of the zucchini you've grown.
Wow, we need to put that in our calendar so that we can celebrate it next year.
Yeah, we can do an episode around that special day.
Yeah, everyone, even the people who grow zucchini, agree that zucchini is bullshit and everyone hates it.
Yeah.
Why do people grow it? We've been through this. We don't need to go into it. But
they grow it to feel good about themselves. We've established that.
Don't grow zucchini. Come on. Get it together.
On their website, there's a Meet the Team page, which I guess I could link to. It's not that interesting, but they have little bios of the various people. There's only 5 main employees of the country. They have bios for them. There's Ted, Carol, Maureen, Jim, and Gwen, and Sandy. What is that? 6? Yeah, 6 people. And they all have weird little bitmojis. I only bring this up because all of the people on this page have little bios, except Carol, who is Ted's wife, does not get a bio, but instead her bitmoji has a speech bubble that says, "Behind every great man, you'll find a great woman."
Yikes.
Yikes.
Oof.
And her bitmoji.
They're burning off that zucchini hatred goodwill.
Yeah. Also, in her bitmoji, she's peeking from behind a curtain.
Whoa.
Just peeking out there it's pretty rough. She gets no bio apart from that. The other reason that I reference this page is because Ted claims that his favorite variety they're selling right now is a tomato called Grandma's Pick. So I thought we could read that tomato description.
All right. Well, there's actually a little icon for Ted Fave on the description.
Cool.
Grandma's Pick F1 Hybrid. A very tasty tomato with heirloom-like taste. A hybrid indeterminate open field or greenhouse heritage type tomato with strong growth and very large fruit with heavy lobes. Specialty tomato features an enhanced flavor and high lycopene content.
Yeah, and on the Meet the Team page in Ted's bio where Ted mentions that's his favorite, it links to the listing. I wonder if this is his favorite because their profit margin is the highest on it for whatever reason.
Hard to believe that would be true of any one particular seed, or that pushing it would
make any substantial difference.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I do want to mention too that I mentioned that, we're doing this catalog because they're known for their pumpkins. It's nice and seasonal. In particular, they have bred what their most famous pumpkin is the porcelain doll F1 hybrid pink pumpkin. So they have a pink pumpkin that they have bred. I believe it was bred by their DP Seeds wing. And they use this pumpkin to help promote Pink Pumpkin Patch, which is a breast cancer charity foundation that you can find.
Is it Susan G. Komen?
I don't believe it is.
Okay.
I believe it is independent. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty skeptical of this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is of course a very nice thought, but as it plays out, sometimes it is not quite as nice in practice. But if you do want to check that out, it is at pinkpumpkinpatch.org. As of 2020, they also advertise Porcelain Princess F1 Hybrid, which is a smaller tabletop version of Porcelain Doll. Do you want to read the Porcelain Doll pumpkin description? I will say it's a beautiful color for a pumpkin. It really is pretty unique, I think.
Well, it's part of the Dolls series, which are all similarly shaped. And there's a blue one, an orange one, and then this very pale one. Porcelain Doll F1 Hybrid. Porcelain doll is an exotic pink pumpkin perfect for fundraising October activities. This pink pumpkin is very eye-catching for holiday decorations. Porcelain doll exhibits deep ribbing with an almost square appearance and exotic pink exterior. Porcelain doll's deep orange sweet flesh can be used for pies, soup, and gourmet culinary delights. Full vine plant habit. See Maxima. Please wait until pumpkins are fully pink and stem is corky before harvesting.
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be 25% of profits sold on either seeds or the pumpkins themselves, I guess, are supposed to go to. But I wish I could figure out what charity they go to.
The fact that they appear to be obfuscating that on their website is making me suspicious. I'm doing a little bit of checking. Like they should say specifically where. What they actually say on the website is America's pumpkin growers have pledged to give a percentage of proceeds from every pink pumpkin sold this year to organizations involved in breast cancer research.
Interesting.
That's like pretty far away from doing anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't jump on board just yet.
Well, we'll link to it. You can decide for yourself. Okay, well, we started to get into this a few minutes ago, but tell me what you think about this catalog design-wise.
I would say that the front cover has the notable, this is like graphic design 101 failure of, I've counted 10 different, they're not all different fonts, but between size and bold and italic and different fonts and outlines and whatnot, I've counted 10 different script options on just on the cover page.
Will you describe the cover?
Yeah, so the cover shows a sliced in half red onion and a couple of big cucumbers, and they've got the page numbers for those particular seeds listed there on the cover. It says neseed at the top, as you described, in all lowercase with a leaf growing out of the E. And then in what I would say is too large to balance with how small the other parts are. In like a very plain sans serif font, it says Growers Catalog.
Yeah. It seems like the name of the company should be the most prominent thing, but in this case, Growers Catalog is the most prominent thing.
It's prominent and it's disproportionate. Like I don't know what point size this is, but I'm going to say 180 point font or something. And then neseed is maybe, 48 point font. And then the year is maybe 36 point font. It's just a mess in terms of like choosing a look and going and sticking with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their neseed, which is how
their word mark is weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it is the most Web 2.0 design sensibility that I've seen in a seed catalog. When you go to their inside cover, their word mark for their sister company DP Seeds also has that leaf growing out of it. It's weird because
the neseed is italic and then DP seed is not.
And the trademark symbol is next to the leaf in DP Seeds, but to the bottom right, as is, I would say, traditional in the neseed logo. Like even their logos are not consistent with one another.
Then they've got neseed.com in another intermediate size. I'm back to the front cover, but then it's outlined. And then under it, it says in a font size that is nowhere else on the cover, a non-GMO seed company. Like it's a true, they've decided that every word needs to be in a different font or size or, I don't know, man, just.
It would be less work to do it better.
Yeah, that's the thing is someone has gone out of their way to be like, I think I was told that you should never reuse the same font twice. When you're designing professional catalogs, you need to make sure you really mix it up or else the eye won't know where to go. Mm-hmm. It'll be chaos. What you want is to have 7 different font sizes and then some of them be italics and then have them also be different colors and bold and outlines.
As we look to the inside, we've often categorized catalogs we've looked at as being better looking on the page or better looking on the computer. And I think this one is a better looking on a computer screen. Personally, I'm looking at, as always, at the PDF here. And I do think like everything is very clear and easy to parse as you're scrolling through it on the computer. And I think the general font they use on the inside looks good on the computer screen, but maybe it looks a little trashy in print.
Well, so I'll say I've opened the catalog randomly to page 1011, and I think it looks perfectly nice. Everything's laid out in nice, even columns.
Yeah, they've got a 4-column approach here throughout.
Almost every seed is accompanied by a quite beautiful photograph. Some of the photos are really striking and nice.
And the color, I mean, I guess you're looking at the print copy, so tell me if this is not true of that, but it looks like the color representation is pretty good and faithful throughout, unlike some of the ones we've looked at recently.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because the pages I'm looking at are 1011, it's cabbages and carrots. It doesn't look like they've tried to crank the saturation to make the carrots look otherworldly in their orangeness.
Yeah.
They look like normal carrots. Everything looks nice. It's definitely, we ragged on the front cover, but I would say inside is very functional, certainly inoffensive, and I would say better than average.
Yeah, I think it is better than average.
Yeah. It's alphabetical, which is useful.
It's alphabetical. They've got like a vegetable seed section, an herb seed section, a flower seed section. And that designation is indicated that at the top of each page in a word mark that is consistent with their neseed logo style, which all things considered, I think looks good.
The other thing they do in the print catalog is they note whether or not there are additional varieties available on the website.
Oh, okay.
So there are some entries, for example, in between cabbages and carrots is cantaloupe, and they don't actually show any cantaloupe seeds for sale in the catalog, but they direct you to their website if you're interested in buying.
You know, that's good, I think, because I've always been left wondering, as we've seen inconsistencies between website offerings and catalog offerings, like, well, how would I know that this was here if I were just looking at the catalog? But I guess this directs us to the website when it's appropriate, which seems very useful.
Yeah. And for example, I just turn the page and then on corn, they have some varieties are shown, and then they let you know specifically that there are additional varieties on their website. So I think that's thoughtful, useful, functional.
Yeah, right on. Do you want to read a couple descriptions?
Did you want to read any category in particular?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be any category in particular. We are going to do, as our CD short, we'll read some more of their pumpkin descriptions. So let's stay away from those for now. But I think anything else?
All right. Well, for no reason in particular, I would like to read from the radishes.
Okay.
Watermelon, aka Chinese red meat or rose heart. This shocking radish has white skin with green shoulders and a pink interior. It is sweet and delicious when eaten raw or cooked. It can be from 2 to 4 inches in diameter, depending on growing conditions. For the brightest pink color, plant in rich soil and keep moist.
This flesh couldn't look more like actual meat.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had them look that saturated red when I've had them in reality.
Sometimes, like other
it's like
radishes,
a beet color.
Yeah, this is odd because it's the inverse coloration of a lot of other radishes, which are red on the outside, and you cut them open and they're white on the inside. But these are white on the outside, but you cut them open and they're just the reddest flesh. I'll read the Lungo di Napoli radish. This is a long carrot-shaped radish. It is crunchy and does not get pithy in hot weather. The top of the root is brilliant red and the tip is white. The leafy tops are very short.
Yeah, that's a beautiful radish.
Yeah, these are beautiful pictures. That description is a little stilted to me in how it reads.
Yeah, but this ombre radish, this carrot-shaped ombre radish is very striking. This would be a cool item to have on your crudité platter. Black Spanish round. Spicy radishes from 2 to 5 inches in diameter. Black skin and crisp white flesh with a nutty flavor. They can be eaten raw, pickled, or cooked. Stores well in the ground or the refrigerator.
Yeah, those are pretty odd. They're the only radish on this page that doesn't have like shades of red or pink in it.
Yeah, it says it's a winter radish.
Okay. Hey, I have a question. Can I direct your attention to page 15? Do you know what a, quote, burpless type of cucumber is? It's like the anti-burpee, the burpless.
Have we not discussed this before at some point?
I don't think so. A burpless cucumber? The other types of cucumber are pickling cucumbers, slicing cucumbers, but this is the burpless category.
So this is probably going to be like our whole discussion about tomato seed gel or whatever, where we discovered that some people want and maybe medically need a different eating experience than what we want.
Yeah, we really were pretty dismissive of that. And then we afterwards looked and it turns out that people do have a medical necessity of.
But so this is kind of similar. I mean, I am aware of the concept of burpless cucumbers, or I was, but I had never really looked into it because cucumbers have never made me burp in particular.
Right.
All cucumbers are pretty burpless in my experience. But I guess cucumbers do contain a compound that some people are more sensitive to than others that produces some digestive upset, including gas, which causes people to burp.
Fascinating.
And it's thought that it's some kind of a anti-predator defense mechanism.
Sure.
And that it might also be related to the bitterness level of the cucumbers.
Like
so they should be advertising themselves as sweet cucumbers or something.
You can make a predator burp themselves to death if you're this cucumber.
I mean, right? That seems like such a mild form of defense. Though I guess if people avoid eating them, it's working.
Yeah. There's the tender green burpless, one of the first burpless cucumbers developed. Almost an heirloom, 90 plus years. Non-bitter, smooth skin, medium green with a few spines. Long vines produce an abundance of uniform fruit. Pick at the 5 to 6 inch size for pickling or allowed to grow up to 12 inches as a slicer. They keep their sweet, crisp flesh at all stages. 55 days as picklers, 90 days for full length. Seed is tolerant to cool, wet soil conditions and a good choice for first planting.
Oh, come on, no.
I'm not a good. Can you burp on command?
Absolutely not. And if I could, I wouldn't. Don't you leave that in? That's
what if I beep?
terrible.
What if I bleep out every time I do a burp? It's because they're pretty embarrassingly small burps anyway. If they were impressive, if I could belch, then I would leave it in. But these burps are.
Nobody wants to hear burping on a podcast.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, you did do a quick bit of research on the Pink Pumpkin Foundation and their financials.
I did do a quick pull of the financial information I could readily get. Nonprofits that have under a certain amount of revenue file different tax forms that go into way less detail about their deal.
Sure.
And this qualifies for that. But I do find, just looking at their annual listing of assets and income, I do find it not encouraging.
Sus. Is it sus?
Yeah, that's old because old people know about it, so you can't say it. It's not cool. So I guess their first tax period was 2013, and they began with assets of $64,000.
Perfectly respectable.
And they had an income that year of $82,000.
All right, they're going places.
And then when they filed their taxes the next year, they had assets of almost $44,000.
All right, took a little hit, but maybe they're just getting started.
So, but they started with like an investment of $65,000 that could be used to keep them afloat. And then they made a bunch of income, and then they spent not only all of their income, but some of their foundation assets in their second year. So that seems not great. And then their income that year was $56,000. And then basically each year, their assets and income have both decreased. So their assets have gone from 64 to 44 to 41 to 33, 22, 11. And finally, in 2019, their assets were $8,559.
Who's drawing a salary?
Yeah.
Here?
And each year their income is also less. So their income's gone from $82,000, 56, 47, 28, 15, 14, 11. So they're doing worse and worse every year, and someone is continuing to draw a very respectable salary. I assume. I mean, I have no other knowledge other than just looking at their assets and their income.
You've really blown this story wide open, I think, today.
Edit this so that it doesn't cross any sort of libel laws. But just looking at their assets and income each year, it does not look to be a well-managed nonprofit.
Yeah, I don't think you could get in trouble by saying that.
Let's put it that way. Let's start there. It does seem like, I mean, to say this in the most libelous way, that this is that someone has been using for a few years to make a salary, and that's probably it.
Well, I'd love to get that person on this podcast. Okay, before we go, I did find a video. This is from the YouTube series Food from the Fiat, where I guess this guy eats food in his Fiat. The video title is called Porcelain Doll Pumpkin Kicks Ass.
James Carson, and this is Food from the Fiat. And today I got this little puppy.
He's rapping on the pumpkin.
Probably can't hear that on the GoPro. Yeah, this is a GoPro, so the sound might be completely shit, but it's still all an experiment. Food from the Fiat. And this is a pumpkin that I got from a farmer at the Santa Monica Wednesday Farmers Market, and he called it a porcelain doll. So I never played with dolls as a kid, with the exception of a G.I. Joe, but we didn't call that a doll. And I certainly did not spend enough time with porcelain dolls when I was a child. So maybe that's why it explains my fascination with cooking this thing. This is a porcelain doll pumpkin. I'm going to fast forward through the chewing, so I'm not rude. And I'm not talking with food in my mouth, although I am. This is a winner. Winner, winner, porcelain doll dinner. And it's not a G.I. Joe. I'm James Carson. This is Food from the Fiat. Thank you so much for watching. You have an amazing day. Ciao.
Well, there you have it. Porcelain doll pumpkin kicks ass.
Nice. So sorry, Food from the Fiat is a YouTube channel where a guy eats food in his car.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I did a little more checking on the pink pumpkin patch or whatever. And their claim on their website is that their board is entirely volunteers and they have no paid employees. Their IRS records show like $15,000 a year in administrative expenses. So someone is not an employee, but is certainly being paid for their time, which is fine. But yeah, why do they make less and less money every year and always have less than they...
That's like me.
Well.
All right. If you're so
I'm
inclined,
just saying.
If you're so inclined, you can elect to follow us on Twitter at @CDBusiness or on Instagram at CDBusinessPod, or you can email us at cdbusinesspod@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like us to talk about a particular catalog or leave us a review and we'll read it. And assuming you can somehow run a scam on it in the form of a not-for-profit, you should eat your vegetables.
Well, some of us are just doing the best we can.
Speak for yourself.
It's city business. It's city business. Boring talk about seeds, city talk between boys. Mind-numbing chatter about ovules and spores. We'll dig a ditch and moan and split the difference. City business. It's city business.